What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for the last player ratings of the season. It's the season tier list, and as usual, we're going to go from excellent to very good to okay, not good, awful, can't judge. We're going to be taking the player ratings from the whole season and averaging them out. And if you are 0 to 4, you'll be going in awful. 4 to 5, you'll be going in not good. 5 to 6 in okay. 6 to 7 in good. 7 to 8 in very good. And then 8 to 10 in excellent. So how do you think they're going to fare?
Not very good.
It's going to be brutal, I think this. It's going to be very brutal. So
get what they deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess without further ado, let's get straight into it, and let's start off with Hugo Lloris.
So Hugo Lloris, 5.9.
5.9.
Yeah.
So he goes in okay.
He goes and he sneaks into okay.
How's that possible?
Because he had some good appearances, I guess, throughout the season. There are a few 7s in there. He got an 8 away at Marseille, and he got a 9 when we played Man United as well. We had a very good game in that game, and a 9 against Sporting Lisbon. So he's had a few good games, but obviously marred by some horrendous errors, 3s and 4s against Arsenal, which really cost us. But 5.9 in the end.
All right, Hugo Lloris goes in to okay. Next up is Fraser Forster, and I imagine he's going to go one tier above there in good.
6.2.
Yeah, so there you have it. Yeah. Fraser Forster, he has had a good season.
Yeah,
he's probably been our signing of the season.
He's had 1-4 against Sheffield United. And other than that, he's actually been okay. He's actually been all right. Like, he hasn't made many mistakes. Hasn't been amazing at making saves, but he's done his job as a number 2 keeper.
Yeah, I think when called upon, I think he's been pretty trustworthy, to be honest. Next up, Ben Davies. I'm going to go a prediction, go level with Hugo Lloris in okay.
6.1.
Oh, so he goes into good. Just about. It sneaks in there.
Classic Ben Davies, 6.1. Does anything represent Ben Davies more than that rating? I think, he is. I think he's been all right. He's been probably a bit worse than maybe last season under Conte, I would say, where he was excellent for those 6 months.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been as bad as like Dyer, so I think that's pretty fair.
Next up, we're going to go to Clement Longley, and probably okay.
5.8.
Yeah, so that goes in okay.
5.8, yeah. So worse than Ben Davies.
Yeah, just below Ben Davies. Not that far behind.
I think I think that's what everyone thinks. He's kind of a slightly worse version of Ben Davies, essentially, on that left-hand side. It's probably the reason we don't want to... Football fans don't want to sign him up permanently. He doesn't represent an upgrade. I don't think he's been a complete disaster, which is also fair. But I don't think he's been what we need, so...
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if we're going to move into a back four next season, it's probably best just to cut our losses and say goodbye to Ben Davies. Up next is going to be Cuti Romero.
6.2.
So he's also going in good. There's too many goods for my likings in this defensive area.
The funny thing with Romero is he's either amazing or like been terrible this season. So he's actually got quite a few 9s and 8s, but there's also mired in with lots of 4s and 2s and 3s. So he's had a mixed season, I think it's fair to say. Before the World Cup, he was okay. If I remember, he was like decent.
Nothing special.
Yeah, had some injuries. After the World Cup, he was really bad, and then he had a few like really good appearances, like Man United. I remember he was amazing. What was it, Palace at home? He was amazing. Yeah. So he's had some good games, but definitely needs to find that consistency. Yeah, absolutely, and he's had his injury problems as well this season. But I don't get how 2 defenders and a goalkeeper have gotten good so far. But let's move on. Next up, Davinson Sanchez, and surely that's got to be an awful. Sanchez, we have a 4.7. So not good. Not good. He goes into not good. So are we underplaying how bad Sanchez is? Because everyone would say he probably sneaks into awful. I mean, he's lucky to get into not good. I don't know. He got 1 6. He's had pretty much all 2s and 3s. He's been absolutely horrendous. He had 1 8 that probably saved him away at Forest, apparently. That saves him for his whole season rating. Literally. I think this system might be a bit flawed, to be honest. Potentially, it's average rating. That's how it is. So he deserves the not good. I guess he hasn't played that much, so maybe that contributes as well. Fair. Next up, Eric Dyer, and I'll probably say he also goes into not good. Eric Dyer, we have a 5.5. What? He goes into okay. He has not had an okay season, Eric Dyer. He has had an awful season. Let me just do the quick maths again. I'll be shocked if he sneaks into okay. Yep. He's 5.5. How has he done this? He's very, very lucky. How has he done this? To be fair, in his last his last 8 games, he's got 3-4, 1-4, 5-4, 4. So like he's been in terrible form. But I guess earlier in the season, you got to remember, we had our best start to the season. We won 10 games in a row. Oh, we didn't win 10 games, but we got after 10 games, we had quite a decent points tally.
Yeah.
So I think, and Dyer was actually quite good in those first few games. It's that after that, it really started to slip. He started making loads of mistakes. So I think those first block of games saved him from an awful.
All right, so quite miraculously, Eric Dyer sneaks into OK. Apparently, he's had an OK season. Let us know in the comment section below what you think about that. Next up is Japhet Tanganga. I mean, is he a can't judge?
Yeah. I mean, he's only played 4 games. 4-7, 7-4, 5.3.
I think he goes into can't judge.
Yeah.
I think anyone below 5 games... No,
but he has been bad most of the time when he hasn't played.
Yeah, but I mean, throughout a whole season, you can't really judge that.
Right,
but
fine.
he has been not great. So Japhet Tanganga goes into can't judge. Next up is Emerson Royale.
Emerson Royale, 6.4 average rating.
Good. I would say he's probably the one that deserves to be in good.
Yeah, I think he has been good, especially after a rocky opening period. Like he really started to find his feet. He actually started to play well wing back, and then obviously moved to centre back under Mason, and he had some really strong performances there. And I think he's really stepped up a bit this season compared to last season. Still not what we want as a wing back, in my opinion. Maybe a fullback, so stuff to work on. But I think he has had a fairly good season.
And with Emerson, I don't know if you saw it, but in the panel show, we put him as most improved player of the season. It was a toss-up between him and Bentancur, but we sided with Emerson just because he was fit for the whole season. But I think he has been the most improved player probably this season.
I would probably sign with Bentancur, even with his injury, just because the levels he was showing was like world-class.
But the thing is, I get that, but the thing is as well, like last season, Bentancur was still a good player for us. Everyone just clowned on Emerson.
But Emerson also in some games was good.
A couple of games, yeah.
Yeah, a few games at the end of the season.
The Man City game and
Arsenal,
the Liverpool game.
Yeah, he had some good games near the end. Like, I don't think he's improved massively from that level, like when he was showing good stuff.
I think from a consistent level.
But consistency-wise, yeah.
Next up is Ryan Sessegnon. I mean, how many games has he played this season?
Ryan Sessegnon, he has played 18 games.
Okay, so where's he going?
5.1.
Okay, again.
He sneaks into okay.
This is rubbish. This is total rubbish. He should be an awful. He has been terrible this season.
You've got to remember, again, at the start of the season, he actually had a fairly good start. Like, he scored against Southampton.
First game of the season.
Yeah, first game of the season. He got an 8 against Fulham at home where he got an assist as well. Like, and then he got
Apart from that,
he got a couple of 7s in the Champions League in a row. There was a period I remember where he was actually playing quite well, and then he got an injury. Ever since the World Cup, it's 4-4, 3-4, 5-4-6. So you're
talking
terrible.
about a handful of games where he's played well.
But the games happened. We can't take away the good performances. So we got to give him credit where it's due. And those good performances means that he gets into okay. What can we do?
All right. Next up is Pedro Porro.
Ooh.
Surely Pedro gets in. Oh, I don't know, because there are some terrible marks in there for Pedro. Probably goes in. I would say good, but probably okay.
5.5.
Yeah, he goes
5.
into okay.
Yeah, again, so it's a bit like Romero. Either he's really good or he's like terrible.
But, I mean, how mental is it that Porro and Sessegnon are in the same level here? And the same level as Dyer?
Well, the thing is, yeah, Sessegnon's kind of sneaks into it. Porro's like 5.5 this season. I guess Dyer's also 5.5. But you got to remember, Porro, Leicester debut was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
He was terrible against Newcastle as well.
Yeah.
Terrible, what was his 3? Against Bournemouth at home. He had a shocking game.
Yeah.
So, is it that surprising? And then
No, you're right.
Another 3 against, and got a 3 against Villa as well. Villa away, he was terrible. But then he gets 8s against Man United. He got an 8 against Leeds on the last game. Didn't he get a 9 last game against Leeds? I gave him a 9, you gave him an 8. He got an 8 against Forest and an 8 against AC Milan when he came on. So, again, it's a bit like Romero, a bit of a mixed bag. I think a lot of promise, just needs to make sure that those horror shows are getting less.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last of the wing-backs is Ivan Perisic, which is going to be an interesting one because I think he's got 11, 12 assists this season. I'll probably say he also goes into okay. Maybe sneaks into good.
5.9.
Okay.
Just about.
Just below, yeah.
Just probably that 1 out of 10 against Newcastle. Probably
1 out of 10. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Again, another player. Again, it started the season really strong. I'm looking at his first 10 games, and I see only only a handful of ratings which are below a 7. So he had really strong, and then we know after the World Cup it really fell off for him. He had a really tough time of it. Did kind of come back into it when Mason got appointed. Had a few good appearances, but
he also struggled for game time when Mason came in.
That's also true. His form post World Cup has been terrible, so that's why.
All right, let's move on to the midfielders, and let's start off with Oliver Skipp. I'm going to say he goes into okay.
Ollie Skipp is a 6.
Ooh.
Bang on a 6.
So just about sneaks into good then.
Just about, because you've got to remember again, when he first broke into the team then in Milan, he had a really good run of games, really strong performances. He got a 7, 8, 8 and a 9, and then 7, 7 and 8 in a row.
I remember, yeah.
So he was playing really well. Then
shame his form tailed off.
But again, we were relying on him. He shouldn't be in a position where he's playing 20 games in a row or whatever it was, or 15 games in a row. So it's not totally his fault. But he gets the credit for the good performances he had when he first broke into the team. That gets him into good. And I think overall, yes, you could argue maybe it's been a mixed season for Skipp because of those poor performances. But I think in terms of his development, you could probably argue, given the game time, it's probably been a good season for him, for his development.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I've just been sort of kind of let down by his performances in the latter stage of the season. I really thought
you kind of got rushed into
Yeah, you're right, but he put in such big performances when he first got back from that injury, and I just wanted to see a bit more consistency from him. And I think in the last maybe 6 or 7 games of the season, he has been poor. He really has.
But we couldn't really rotate him out. So
that's the problem. Yeah. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg.
Pierre-Emile Højbjerg,
I would say also goes into good, maybe
6.2.
Yeah.
Again, when we're talking about first half of the season, we were in excellent territory.
Yeah.
Nearly very good territory. Unfortunately, did badly tail off second half of the season. He badly tailed off, and nearly went into okay with the 6.2. But I think good is probably fair for Højbjerg. I do think it's been overall a good season for him.
Again, I think he's been let down by second half of the season, but first half of the season he was brilliant. He really was.
And again, overplaying him as well.
And 5 goals, 5 assists this season.
A lot of them came in the first half of the season. But yeah, it was a strong showing. I think a Højbjerg who's well rotated is much better.
Yeah, totally agree. Next up is Yves Bissouma. I'm going to probably say probably lower end of okay, maybe even not good.
He gets a 6.1.
Really? He goes into good.
He sneaks into good.
How wrong was I? He goes into good.
Yeah.
How? Because he's had a few strong performances at the end of the season, but
7, 7 and 6. He got an 8 against Preston. Very lucky. He got an 8 against Liverpool at home as well. He played quite well in that game. And then he got an 8 against Everton. There was a period when we moved to 3 in the middle during the season, and he was actually thriving. And then I think then he got a bit of an injury, and then he's missed a big chunk. So he actually hasn't played a lot.
How many games has he played?
We've given him ratings for 19 games.
Okay. All right. So Bissouma is going into good. Next up is Pape Matar Sarr. I mean, has he played enough?
Pape Matar Sarr, probably 8 games.
Okay, so it's less than 5. I mean, it's more than 5, so we'll put him in somewhere.
5.6.
5.6. So okay.
Goes into okay. I think. Look, he has been all right. I don't think he's had a particularly. He burst onto the scene, and then he hasn't kind of hit those heights.
Strong showing in the North London derby, which he showed Bottle to come in and play well. Even though it was a terrible team performance, he was one of the better players on the pitch. Really strong performance in Milan, but he didn't really kick on from those performances.
I think especially the Milan one, you're thinking, oh my God, this guy's a star in the making. And then, we dropped him the next game. I don't know why we did that, but we did. Can't complain because Skipp did score, but it was just a shame that we didn't capitalize on that performance. And unfortunately, when he did play, he wasn't. I don't know what it was, but maybe it's a confidence thing. But he didn't kind of have that same swagger about him.
I do think, like in a couple of sub appearances where we probably wouldn't have given him ratings, he's shown some good ability. But I still think there's a big player in Pape Matar, and I think the future's bright for him. Yeah. But right now he goes into okay. Next up is Rodrigo Bentancur, and he's got to go into excellent or very good. Probably very good.
7.3.
Yeah,
that's an average rating.
So finally we get someone into very good.
Very good. I think that makes sense. He's probably been I reckon. Obviously, if it wasn't for Kane and his injury, he'd probably been our player of the season.
Agreed. It's just a shame he got that injury.
Yeah,
and because let's be honest, that injury had a major impact in our season.
It did.
Major.
And for him as well, I think he was flying, absolutely flying. He was one of the best centre mids in the league. Like, he was playing at that higher level. And it was just absolutely, it's a massive shame, but I think he deserves that.
All right, Bentancur goes into very good. Next up is Dejan Kulusevski, where last season we probably would have put into very good. He's had a very underwhelming season this year. I'm probably going to say he goes into okay.
6.2.
Oh, he goes into good, does he?
So he sneaks into good.
How?
Similar to Højbjerg.
2 goals, 7 assists.
Because again, first half of the season, he had a really good first half. He got a 9 against Southampton. He got an 8. He got an 8 against Nottingham Forest. He got an 8 against Leeds at home as well. Remember when he came back from that injury, he was actually playing some really good stuff against Liverpool. Got an assist against Leeds. He was brilliant when he in the 4-3 win. So he did have some good games, but then again, later in the season, badly tailed off. It was probably going to go into. It was probably near the top of good for a lot of the season, but unfortunately his season tailed off. He avoided an okay though. Got a good, which is a bit lucky.
Here we go. Dejan Kulusevski, you're going into good. Next up is Heung-min Son. I mean, he's still got quite a number of goals this year, so 10, 11 goals. It's not been the Sonny that we know and love for the previous couple of seasons, but I still think he probably sneaks into good.
Funnily enough, it's probably for the opposite reasons of a lot of the players that we're saying why they get into good. But he got a 6.
6 on the dot.
On the dot, which just about puts him in good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, even though he hasn't hit the heights of maybe like what we know and love from Sonny, he still has had a good season in terms of the squad. 10
Premier League goals. Again, it's funny because, you know, we're saying about Kulusevski and Højbjerg, they had great first halves and then tailed off. He had terrible first half and then came back alive. Yeah. So, and obviously he got a 10 out of 10 against Leicester as well with 4 goals. 4 goals off the bench? 3 goals off the bench? 3 goals off the bench. So that probably helped. That pretty much got him the good. That rating itself.
All right. So Sonny goes into good alongside Decky. Next up is Lucas Moura. He's going to get a 10 just for excellent.
He is very lucky. He gets 5.1. So he sneaks into okay. He is the luckiest rating.
Only because of that end of season rating, we gave him a 10 for that goal.
He might have been an awful if we didn't.
How many games has he played?
We gave him ratings in 8 games.
8 games. All
8 games, and literally it's 6-4, 6-5, 6-1, 4-10.
God.
So he is very lucky.
Like that Everton game he threw away for us, that Liverpool game he threw away for us. He's been poor this season. I mean, he's so lucky he sneaks into okay, to be honest. That one game.
That 10 was very generous.
It was very generous.
Lucas's PR.
All right, Lucas sneaks into okay somehow. Next up is Arnaut Danjuma. I mean, that's can't judge, surely.
Yeah, I would say can't judge. We're giving him a rating on based on 4 games.
Yeah, so he goes into can't judge. He's not coming back as well.
Which is annoying because we have to judge him whether we want to sign him, and we can't judge him.
Yeah, we can't. Apparently, we've taken that option already, saying we're not going to sign him.
Have we?
Yeah, apparently he's going back to Villarreal and we're not signing him.
I think that's probably the best course of action.
Next up is Richarlison. Probably okay as well.
6.1, apparently.
For effort. 6.1 for effort.
I think he's a lucky boy, I think. Let me just check the maths
goes
on this
into
one.
good.
Yeah, looks like it. Funnily enough, I gave him a 6. You gave him a a 6.2, so you rated him a little higher. But then again, I rated him a 6, so that was also in good. I think he's very lucky, 1 Premier League goal. But I do think his performance.
Did he get 2?
Huh?
Did he get 2
Sorry,
or 1? 2 in the end. 1 against Liverpool. Was that the only one?
Yeah,
His only one against Liverpool.
Yeah, didn't
okay.
score again, did he? I think, again, beginning of the season, his performances were actually quite good. I remember he was showing a lot of ability.
All the kick-ups and...
Yeah, and he scored 2. He obviously got the brace against Marseille and all that
Fulham
kind of
game.
Fulham game, he was great. But, 1 Premier League goal, he's very lucky that he avoids a not good.
But, I mean, like, we've got there in good. Dejan Kulusevski, 2 Premier League goals. Richarlison, 1 Premier League goal. Heung-min-Son, 10.
Yeah. Oh,
How does that work out?
I don't know. Maybe we should change our rating system.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, last player is Harry Kane. Surely he goes into excellent or very good or the top end of very good. Don't do this to me.
6.6.
How? How is that even possible? Harry Kane, 30 goals this season in the Premier League.
Because when he hasn't scored, he hasn't, like, it's been the only way I can explain it is when he's played and he's had different level of performances to like last season, where when Conte got appointed, he was like all action displays. He was like the hub of the team. This season he's been, especially for a lot of the season up until the last few weeks, he's definitely been just more of a striker. More of like a guy in the box.
Wasn't dropping deep too much.
Yeah, so when he's not scoring, he actually hasn't been involved as much as maybe last season where he was like a playmaker. He did come back to those levels, I felt, when Mason came in. He was starting to get more involved in the build-up play again. Under Conte, he was very much up the pitch. So whereas maybe last season where he didn't score, we still would have maybe given him a 7 or an 8. This season where he hasn't scored, we've been giving him 5 and 4s, which has dragged his ratings down. Last few weeks he's been getting 9s and 8s, but at the beginning of the season he's been scoring, but we weren't giving him high ratings. We were giving him like 7 for scoring because he wasn't as involved. So I'm
not having this. I can't physically just put Kane. What is it in good?
He got 30 Premier League goals.
Nah, come on. I can't. Even though it's part of the system, I just can't do it. I can't do it.
He's going in very good.
Harry Kane has got to be similar levels to Bentancur, if not better. So I'm putting him in very good and chucking away this system. Let's look at the 2 managers. We're going to give a pass on Stellini because I don't even think he was there for 3 games, 4 games.
Yeah, Conte's going to hoover up his rating, unfortunately.
All right, so Antonio Conte. Okay. 6. Good.
It's a good season for Conte.
Well, let's be honest. When Conte left, we were in the top 4.
We were 1 point off third when he left.
Exactly. So I guess like that does represent good, doesn't it?
Wasn't bad. I mean, but when you chuck in the cups, you got to say that was really, especially Sheffield United. I mean, in hindsight, that maybe he got a tougher ride for the AC Milan one, considering they got to the semis. But still, the way we didn't even hurt their goal still hurts a bit.
Yeah.
Sheffield United, he deserves to come under heavy criticism for what happened there. Obviously, Carabao Cup we chucked away as well, but I wasn't that bothered by it. But whatever, still not great. But in terms of the league, yes, the performances weren't great, but he was still getting results.
The results
that's the reality.
And
Whatever you want to say about him, he was getting results.
Yeah, and you saw as soon as he left, like
the results plummeted
massively.
Well, Mason does say we were in a false position, and maybe he probably has a point.
Yeah, we were.
At the end of the day, who's to say Conte couldn't have continued to get results? I mean, maybe the way he alienated the squad, maybe not, but. I mean, in terms of just facts of the matter, the league results we got were under Conte this season were not terrible. Performances, you can argue one thing, but results not.
Yeah, apart from against like the bigger teams in the Premier League, they were quite terrible, weren't they?
Yeah, but if you make up for it against the other to keep the consistency in the other games, then you make up for it. I mean, no one's going to sit here and look. It's the season he got sacked. It wasn't a good season for him. But in terms of results-wise, he could definitely go into another job with that in his CV saying, look, I know I got sacked from Spurs, but I was a point off third when I got sacked. Look how they plummeted when I left. Like, I'm still got it, basically.
And last but not least, Ryan Mason. Surely he goes into okay. We can't sneak him into good, can we?
6.
What is going on?
He gets a good apparently because he got. I gave him an 8 for the Man United game. He got an 8 against Palace as well. He got 7 against Leeds, but then against Brentford 5, Villa 4, and against Liverpool we gave him a 5 for the comeback, which we gave away. So I mean, Yeah, it's a generous good, I have to say, for
Massively generous.
6. But United game we played well. Liverpool was a good second half comeback. Palace was a decent win, and the Leeds was a good win. So there's some good games.
I'm sorry, but these ratings are shambolic. They really are shambolic.
Look, we finished 8th this season.
Yeah, and we have one player in not good. We finished 8th and went out all the cups early.
Yeah, so I'd say Lloris.
Let's bring it up and we'll go.
So what I think should be moved. Well, look. Now we can use our discretion. So that's apparently the season ratings. I think Dyer can be moved down.
All right, let's look at this. I think Fraser. I think both Bentancur and I think actually Kane should be an excellent 30 goals in a season. Come on,
you can't argue
that's got to be excellent. Bentancur, fine, very good. He got injured for a lot of the season. Forster, I think, deserves to be there. Ben Davis, I think, would knock down to okay.
Yeah.
Romero probably knocks down to okay as well. Do you not agree with that?
Yeah, I think we'll keep Emerson in good though.
Emerson stays in good. Skip probably knocks down to okay. You agree with that?
Yeah, fine.
Højbjerg, I think Højbjerg can stay in good. Bissouma probably okay as well.
Yeah, he's lucky to be there.
Kulusevski, I would probably say not good with that.
Not good?
Yeah.
All the way down to not good? I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
I'll put him in okay.
So Kulusevski goes in okay. Sonny, I think he saved it second half of the season.
Yeah,
I'll keep him in good.
He could just about save there.
Richarlison probably not good.
Yeah, I'd probably say not good. Yeah, he needs massive improvements.
Conte, I would say okay. Would you agree with that?
I mean, it depends what you're basing it on.
Well, everything. When you look at the performances, going out the cup competitions early, but he had the points on the board on the league.
Okay then.
Mason,
also okay.
Yeah.
I think Lloris we can probably notch down to not good.
Yeah, agreed.
Who's that? Longley? He can stay there.
Dyer's got to go into awful, surely.
I think Dyer goes down.
To awful or not good?
Awful, I think.
Yeah.
Because he was that bad in that second half of the season. Who's that? Sessegnon?
Yeah.
He can go down to not good.
Yeah.
Porro,
I think Porro can stay there.
Porro can stay.
Perisic can stay there.
Yeah.
Sarr can stay there.
Yeah.
Lucas has to go down.
He has to go to awful.
To awful. And that's it.
And then
Davinson Sanchez we got to drop
down to awful.
So I think that is more.
That is probably representative.
Yeah. So let's go through this one. Harry Kane goes into excellent player of the season. Bentancur goes into very good. Good is Fraser Forster, Emerson, Højbjerg, and Son. Okay is Longley, Porro, Perisic, Sarr, Davis, Bissouma, Skip, Romero, Kulusevski, Conte, and Mason. Not good is Richarlison, Lloris, and Sessegnon. Awful is Dyer, Lucas, and Davinson, and then Danjuma and Tanganga in can't judge. I think that is much more representative of how the season actually went.
Yeah, and I think that tier list represents it fairly well. I'm sure there'll be fans saying put Conte in awful and stuff like that, but I think overall, look, we finished 8th, got to the last 16 of the Champions League. FA Cup, we crashed out early. It's been a terrible season overall. But you got to remember that you have to take the whole season into account. And as much as the second half of the season was terrible, first half, things were looking okay. We were 3rd in the league. We went through in the group stage of the Champions League. So there were periods where things could we weren't playing well, but it kind of looked okay from the outside. Yeah. But it was always kind of on fragile ground, wasn't it? And it all did fall apart second half of the season, and that probably represents it. But when we take into account, you can't just take the worst part, you have to also take the good parts, and that's where we come with our rating. But I'd like to know, maybe for next season, if there's a better system the guys think maybe
there must be a better system. There must be.
Maybe they could help us. We have to come up with different kind of where people go for certain ratings and stuff like that. Maybe we have to bring in decimals into the tiers and stuff. But let us know.
All right, well, there you have it. That is our season player ratings tier list. Let me know in the comment section below all your thoughts regarding where you think each player should be going in this tier list. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.